I had a wife named Kayla until about 2 years ago. Kayla is a good wife, good-natured and beautiful, too good for me, an ordinary person. 2 years after my marriage to Kayla, we were blessed with a long-awaited child. We were enjoying smooth sailing in our married life. One day, however, I received an order from my company to go on an overseas business trip. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity given to me by my boss, who was my mentor. It was a great opportunity for me to get ahead in life, but at the time, my daughter had just been born. I was very hesitant about leaving my wife and child behind and going on a business trip overseas for a year. However, it was my wife Kayla who pushed me to take the plunge. Kayla said to me, "This is a unique opportunity, isn't it? Don't worry about us." I promised her that I would come back after a year, regardless of whether or not I made any progress. I decided to fly to a foreign country far away from America. For the first 6 months after I left the US, I kept in touch with my family in America through Skype every day. However, as I got busier and busier with projects, it became harder and harder to keep in touch with my family. I gradually decreased the frequency of contact with my family from once every 2 days to once a week. However, I still sent good morning and good night messages to my family every day. I also always sent gifts with a message card to my family by international mail on anniversaries and birthdays. I was fulfilling my role as a husband and father at the very least. 1 year after my overseas business trip, I returned to the US, where my wife and daughter were waiting for me, as I had promised. However, I did not give up on my work. I had achieved more than the company expected of me, and I got a promotion. However, on the day I was supposed to return to the US, Kayla, who was supposed to be waiting for me at the airport, was nowhere to be found. She had replied to an email I sent a month before my departure, and 3 days before I left, I had informed her of my flight arrival time and my plans for the rest of the day. And yet, only my parents and Kayla's mother were at the airport. Kayla's father had died shortly after we got married, so this meant that all my close relatives were at the airport, except for Kayla and my daughter. Kayla and my daughter are the only ones who are not working, and I was looking forward to seeing them again. It was a very sad and strange sight for me, who was looking forward to seeing my family again. Did my wife or my daughter Julie not come? Well, about that, I don't know how to explain this to you. I don't understand what you're saying. Something must have happened to Kayla and my daughter. I don't think so, but to be honest, we don't really know what's going on. What do you mean? Let me explain, Sam, but you need to calm down and listen to me. We have not been able to contact Kayla for the past 3 days. What? I told you to calm down and listen to me. I'm sure this is no accident or incident, so please don't worry. How do you know that? You have no contact with Kayla, so there's no way to know if they are safe or not. 2 days after we lost contact with Kayla, which was yesterday, the 3 of us went to your house to get a key. We found some information that would lead us to confirm that Kayla was safe. There was no furniture, clothes, or even dishes in the house. All that was left was your clothes and a few personal items. What? I know it's awkward for me as her parent to say this, but I think she took Julie with her and ran away from you. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Later, at a cafe in the airport where I stopped to compose myself, I was asked by my parents and mother-in-law whether I had any big fights with Kayla, whether there had been any moral harassment or domestic violence against Kayla, and so on. I was asked many questions about our life as a couple. However, I could not think of anything. It is true that we only had video calls about once a week for the past few months, but we had been exchanging emails every day, and I did not feel that Kayla had any feelings of distress during our weekly video calls. In the end, our discussion did not yield any useful information about the cause of Kayla's disappearance or her current whereabouts. I returned to my empty house in a state of disappointment. However, fortunately for me, I had received a week's vacation from the company as a reward for a year's overseas business trip. I had enough time to follow up on Kayla's whereabouts. I immediately asked around the neighborhood to find out which moving company Kayla had used. After politely explaining the situation to the manager of the moving company, my mother-in-law and I succeeded in identifying where Kayla was headed. However, what my mother-in-law and I witnessed there was a shocking scene that was different from a simple runaway or disappearance. She's starting to speak a little these days. Really? Then will she call me Daddy? Julie, I'm your daddy. Try calling me Daddy. She can't yet. She just started talking a few days ago. I see. That's too bad. Don't be so disappointed. You'll have plenty of chances in the future. I guess I won't have to see you in secret anymore. Great. I'm going to do my best so that I can be recognized as a great father for Julie. The view from the window of a detached apartment looked like the scene of a happy family. a family that had been together for years. It was indeed my wife and daughter who were there, with a man I've never seen before. What is the meaning of this? That was supposed to be me in that position. I don't know anything. I'm the one who should be asking you. Did you really never feel any signs of infidelity from Kayla? When she said that, I did think of something. Since Kayla was a housewife, she had a lot of free time. My daughter Julie doesn't look much like me. Kayla sent me abroad without any resistance, even though we just had a baby. I thought that these were too weak to be signs of infidelity. Anyway, just sitting here and watching is not going to solve anything. Let's just go directly to her. Are you sure? If I talk to her now, I'm ready. Let's go, before they realize we're here. Kayla's mother was a very intelligent person. She may have already been aware of Kayla's destiny at that time. Anyway, my mother-in-law and I knocked on the front door of the house to ask Kayla the truth. Then, we pushed aside the man who opened the front door without caution. We ran to the living room where Kayla was. What are you doing here? Mom? That's her mother? Then who's that guy next to her? Kayla, you had another man? Don't tell me that Julie is this man's child. How did you know where we were? I didn't tell anyone where we were going. Just answer me. Whose child is Julie? And whose child have I been working so hard to raise? Kayla uttered one short scream, and after a moment of silence, she answered that Julie was the daughter of a different man. My mother-in-law was furious and jumped on Kayla right then and there. I just listened to the sound of the ideal family I had envisioned in my mind crumbling. A few days later, as the vacation I had received as a reward for a year's overseas business trip was coming to an end, I called Kayla to tell her that I was divorcing her and that I was going to demand $150,000 in alimony from the two adulterers. Kayla told me that the man could not get a decent job because he had a criminal record. Kayla was ranting about how the child would be unhappy if things continued as they were, but to my ears, all these cries of grief sounded like something from a faraway country. I later learned that the man with whom Kayla was having an affair was her ex-boyfriend from high school. They had been partners since they came of age and had seriously considered marrying each other. However, due to the fact that the other man had several criminal records, including an accumulation of petty crimes such as theft, the relationship once collapsed due to the fierce opposition of Kayla's parents. My mother-in-law herself thought that the man's appearance had changed too much. She couldn't recognize him as the same man right after she saw him again after a long time. Anyway, Kayla kept in touch with him even after she married me. One day, by chance, they began to have physical relations again, and the result was my daughter Julie, who I had always thought was my own child. She's a child you've raised as your own daughter for a year. How could you be so cruel? Going abroad on a business trip for a year was a blessing in disguise. Thanks to you, I don't have to feel any unnecessary affection for Julie. No matter how unhappy you guys will be in the future, I won't feel a shred of regret or guilt. Please go live unhappily in a place where I don't know you, in peace. It's a strange thing, isn't it? When I was overseas, I wanted to see my wife and daughter so much, but now I feel the same attachment and affection to them as when I look at a pebble on the road. As a last act of mercy, I agreed to let them pay alimony in installments. I did so out of a single-minded desire to make Kayla suffer for having betrayed me for as long as possible. The man who was unable to get a good job because of his criminal record, and Kayla, who has never had a decent career since she relied on me. Kayla has been abandoned by her mother, the only family she can rely on, so she is not likely to be able to pay back the huge debt of $150,000 so easily. 2 years have passed since then, and the other day I received a call from Kayla asking me to wait a little longer for the alimony payment. She told me that she had fallen ill due to overwork, but I have no intention of complying with his request. I am prepared to take her to court immediately, if she is even a month late. Kayla has nowhere left to run as she did 2 years ago. My life is going well compared to Kayla and her family. I now work as a top executive for my company. I have also found a partner whom I would be willing to marry again. All I have to do now is to watch Kayla and her family fall into the depths of misery. Only then will I be able to say that my revenge has been accomplished. Thank you for watching. Did you enjoy it? We hope to see you again soon. Also, please subscribe to our channel.